Greetings, family. Welcome back to my channel. One of the many disparities which exist in the modern society is the disparity of education, right? Education and finance are two of the primary distinguishing traits that people of our world, people of our society, tend to judge people on, right? And I think from the 1920s to the present day, most of our black conscious leaders recognize the fact that education is one of the principal ways that we can begin our revolution. All right? The revolution begins in our mind, because there's a popular comment, it's still popular today, in which people say that if you want to hide anything from the black race, you should hide it in a book. That is a very disrespectful comment as the first writers of books, all right, as the first authors, as the first playwrights, as the first philosophers, chemists, doctors, governors, kings and queens. We were the people who actually brought education to the world. All right, I'm speaking about Timbuktu and the University of Sankore. I'm speaking about the universities in Kemet and in Nubia, Sumeria. Okay, so education is something that is intrinsically African in its origin. Okay, now beginning our conscious journey, we began to reflect on the many issues related to miseducation because we recognize that the school curriculums were constructed from the vantage point of the colonizers and oppressors. All right, so for many people, we began to question the methodology. We began to question the curriculum because we recognize that the curriculum does not fairly represent who we are as a people, and it does not instill in us a national and historical identity which is consistent with equal and acceptable people. All right. Now I recognize that history class has cast us from the vantage point of the enslaved and the oppressed. All right. But my commentary today, as I outline some of these thoughts, is I would like to recognize the importance of education in terms of the revolution of African consciousness. All right, if we are to have a renaissance of African consciousness, I believe it begins with the babies. It begins with the young generation being instilled with the equipment necessary for entering this world. All right, we don't want our kids to enter this world at a disadvantage, not being able to have the basic critical thinking skills and analytical skills that they need to be a productive part of society, and that they also need to free the minds of African people. Okay, so while I am not a supporter of indoctrinating our people with European belief systems and European concepts, what I am fond of is giving our people the necessary tools that they need in order to be a part of society and a part of our renaissance of African thought. Okay, if we do not give the next generation the tools that they need, the information and the certification that they need, all right, they will become the tools of society. They will become the pawns of society. Okay, and so there's a tendency to criticize education to the extent that many people even cease their education while seeking African conscious information. Okay, and so this is my defense of us actually seeking and gaining the knowledge that is available to us in the interest of our liberation, in the interest of our forward and collective development. All right, education is very important. All right, it was so important that an African monarch, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, he actually converted one of his imperial palaces into a university, which is currently today named after him in Ethiopia. And so, family, education is of a high significance, and I would not want our people to discourage the next generation from actually gaining all of the necessary skills, knowledge, and information that they will need to avoid the pitfalls of yesterday. And so, while it was possible for many people to discontinue their education and still become successful, I do not believe that we should gamble the future generations on a possibility like that. Okay? If anything, we need to infuse our education system with the values, principles, and with the cultural elements that are relatable to African people. We need to repackage the curriculum in such a way that our people are able to grasp it from our vantage point. And, this might even take the form of homeschooling, where you can actually direct the type of information and the format of the information. Okay, so family, just giving a little defense of education. This is stemming from a conversation that I had with a few friends of mine, and I found that there is a harsh anti intellectual sentiment that exists in the black community, and it is usually directed towards people who would have attained tertiary level education or who have a reasonable grasp of the language that they speak and intuitive skills. In the black community, these types of individuals are criticized, ostracized, unfairly portrayed as being oppressive, unfairly portrayed as being elitist, when in fact we are all of the same capacity and should be at the same level. And we should have the capacity to think beyond what we were taught. All right, family. But this anti intellectual sentiment is actually anti African because the intelligence of the black man and woman should be celebrated, cultivated, and encouraged. All right. So, people, let's not think negatively. All right. I'll give you one example. Back when I had an afro, I went to a barber, and the barber happened to see my university ID. So he asked me, bro, what are you studying? So I was like, I'm studying accounting. And basically, he proceeded to give me a 60-second examination while sitting in his chair, asking me definitions of economic and financial terms, and even asking me 99 times 99, because there is this perception that people who are in college are somehow like the super brainiacs or geniuses of the world, when in fact we are all humans with the same potential. See my previous video about the same topic, the illusion of inequality. That's another good one I think you should peruse and privilege yourself with watching. But family, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about all of these thoughts. One love.